Hey everyone! Months ago I did a video on the history of home aquaria, and I talked about a woman named Anna Tynne. I know that looks like it should be Thine, but you know, English people. In 1846, she created the world's first balanced marine aquarium. And that was with no electricity, no filter, and no chemicals. She had a jar, a rock, a madrepore, and then she put in some seaweed later. You know, I just really love the simplicity of Anna Tynne's aquarium. You know, because boy, if things change today. This video is like a journey into the past to see just how much technology we can pull away from our aquariums and still grow healthy coral. So I begin by isolating what I think are the 5 essential parts or elements of a reef tank. Water, rock, warmth, flow. Then I ran out of Avatar-inspired whimsy. The 5th thing is light. My idea is that if you can master these 5 elements, you can grow coral in something as simple as a pickle jar. So let's start with the water. You can't just really use tap water. You really have got to have purified water for corals. And most guys that keep reefs, they invest in an RO system. But when you're starting small, with something like this, you don't necessarily need one of those systems yet. You can start with something, just use bottled distilled water. With an aquarium that's the size of this pickle jar, you are going to have to buy a lot of distilled water for water changes before you would save money with an RO filter. Then once you've got your purified water, that's when you can add your salt and get your salinity between 1.023 and 1.025. You really got to keep it in between there for corals. They're going to be a lot happier. They'll say thank you. One of the cruxes of a reef tank is the bacteria that grows, and that is what allows for the nitrogen cycle to happen and for the aquarium to be balanced. See, that's what happened in Anna Tynne's jar. And she did it by accident, but that was the discovery that allowed Nathaniel Philip Goss to build what Anna Tynne did on a much larger scale. So to have this nitrifying bacteria, you need live rock. And I just pulled some rock out of my sump, and I really liked this piece because it's got a very Pride rock vibe to it. And I just think that'll look really cool in our little mini aquarium. So Pride rock did not fit, so I just had to choose another boring little rock. And oh my word, if that one doesn't fit too, I don't know if I have a small enough rock. Nope. So I actually had to take a rock out of my display tank. You know, I was really kind of sad because it's my favorite rock, but it looks really nice in the jar. The corals we keep today and that are available in the hobby are much different than the ones that Anna Tynne collected in Torquay. The ones she got there were more of like a subtropical, colder water coral. The ones we have today are all tropical. They need warm water. For me, I live here in Shenzhen, and Shelly believes that air conditioning gives you cancer, so it stays pretty hot in our apartment. And that's why I look kind of sweaty in some of my videos. So like my big display tank behind me, I don't run a heater on it for most of the year. I put one on there in the winter because it does kind of get a little chilly, but during the summer, no heater. So for the jar I'm doing today, this won't have a heater on it, it's not going to need one, it'll stay warm enough. My goal with this tank was not to have any wires coming out of it, was to just go straight natural with this thing. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that flow is an essential part of a reef tank. And believe it or not, Anna Tynne's aquarium did have flow. A servant would come in regularly and change the water between the jars to aerate it and to give it some water movement. Now, I don't have any servants, so I bought this little power head off Taobao, and man, this is the cutest, most adorable power head ever. You guys aren't going to believe how small it is. I got it for 10 kwai, and that included shipping. I mean, you can just see how tiny this little guy is. And then last, corals need light, and my hope had been just to put this jar in a window, but when I moved apartments, none of the windows get enough direct light. I think if you did have good direct light, you could probably grow a lot of these corals just by setting the jar in the window, but since I don't have enough direct light, I got just a little tiny coral lamp, And now it's important to note that corals need two types of light, and any lamp that's for coral will have these two types of light. They need high whites and blue actinics, and this light has both. What about the filter? What about the protein skimmer? Aren't those essential? In a system like this, not really. All a protein skimmer does is take fish poop out of the water. It's a lot easier to keep coral if you don't put fish in there. Fish, as the saying goes, kind of like muddle the water. As for the filter, let's talk about exactly what a filter does. A filter does two things for your aquarium. One, it provides flow, and two, it gives bacteria a place to grow. If we look at this little system here, the rock gives the bacteria a home, and then the little pump gives us the flow. The filter is built into the tank itself. And I never really use filter media on any of my aquariums anyway. I never use filter socks. I never use filter floss, because to me, in my experience, if you don't change those things like daily, they just become phosphate factories. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We get to put some coral in there. And I ordered some coral off Taobao, and you guys gave me some great advice in the previous History of Home Aquaria video, and I'm taking that into account. So I got a couple of things. I got some star polyps, I got a couple mushroom corals, and then I got some palazoas. And these corals are all fast growing, and I'm just gonna kind of let them play king of the hill with that rock. You know, whoever can take over the rock, they can have it. Man, aquascaping that thing is not for a guy with, with big hands. That's kind of tricky. Not only do I have to fit my hand inside of that jar, I have to like maneuver it inside the jar. I think next time I do one of these, I'm gonna have to get somebody else to place the corals. But that was still pretty fun. I'm gonna give it some time, let everything kind of open up, and I'll let you guys see here in a second. It's kind of hard to see, but the corals I put in are starting to open. You can see the green star polyps, there at the top. Then you can see the button corals right there. And there's also a mushroom here. And then there's a couple other polyps near the top of the jar. You can't really see them very well. I took those out of the tank. The decorator crab kept moving them around, but I went ahead and put them in here. Yeah, I think it looks really nice. I want to show you from the top. So I'll keep you guys updated on this. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I know the corals will live if I do enough water changes. But what I really want to see out of this is growth. Growth is what I'm going to consider success. All right, well, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and I almost forgot. Thank you guys. I posted that YouTube short the other day. Thank you guys for the ideas for some coral to order. I think that's probably going to be my next video, but I don't know for sure yet. I think I might be having some imbalances in my tank. I had a pretty bad hair algae outbreak, but I'm going to keep an eye on that for a couple days, and then I'll decide. So if that's not the next video, that's why. But if it is, be sure to look out for that. I'll see you next time. Bye.